Hey, welcome everybody, and I'm glad you're back with the live shows. I know in June I was going to take a couple of weeks off because we had some travel and so on. And then we got into events and family things. And then I said to Andrea, listen, I'm just going to take the summer off. And I think I'm going to do that every year. We'll do live shows up till June and then pick them up after Labor Day. It's just so much going on in the summertime, as you know, especially on the weekends. To commit to doing a late Sunday afternoon show here, a little later in the evening back east, or even later if you're in Portugal. Jerome is in Portugal watching this live, so thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do in the future is we will take a bit of a hiatus over the summer. But we're back now, but I do have to tell you one thing. We're back for 1 week, and then this upcoming week we are traveling. We have an event we're going to. It's under strict embargo. I can't even tell you what it is, but we will be traveling next Sunday. And so I won't be doing it next week, but we'll pick it up the week after that. Okay, a bunch of stuff to go through. Oh, I wanted to show you this first of all. I'm from Canada, and our sovereign just passed away, Queen Elizabeth II, and now we have King Charles III. And this is kind of cool. My mom gave me this. She worked as a volunteer. This is 2002, and it says here, Queen's Jubilee Visit, Ontario, 2002. So you follow what happened in the news recently. Queen Elizabeth passed away after 70 years on the throne. This was after 50 years on the throne. So that's pretty cool to have. And it was just sitting over there in the corner. I thought I'd pull it out and show you guys. So there we go. Change is always happening. All right, a couple of things. CanadaDrives.ca. If you're looking for a used vehicle, you go online. It's a 100% online shopping experience. You order your car, you get financing. They even deliver it to you the next day from a covered trailer and truck. So it's pretty cool. They're in all of British Columbia, all of Alberta, all of Saskatchewan, and all of Ontario now. And down here is carcostcanada.com. So this is .ca, this is .com. And carcostcanada.com is for new cars. If you're looking for a brand new car, you want to find out what the dealer paid for the car you're wanting to buy, you have all that information on there. All right. What else do we want to talk about? Pictures. Okay. I've been really bad because when I stopped doing the live show in June, I thought, I'll be back in a couple of weeks. And then what I do is I usually go back from the last show and I look at all my emails and download all the pictures. Well, that's been almost 3 months. I'm not going through 3 months worth of emails. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is if you want to send a picture in for future live shows, we'll kind of start fresh now. It's Zack@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK@motormouth.ca. So we'll get the pictures starting again the next live show. A couple of other things going on. Detroit Auto Show kicks off this week. The first Detroit Auto Show. We were invited to go with General Motors. Unfortunately, we have a conflict here. We can't go. But not a lot is going to go on at the show. General Motors are going to be showing their electrified vehicles like the Chevy Equinox that they just announced the price for. So the Chevy Equinox small SUV from Chevrolet is $30,000 in the US and $35,000 in Canada. That's a hell of a lot of value for a full EV to start at that price. And then when you factor in any rebates and incentives or government incentives, it could be really quite inexpensive. So that's a big deal. All right. If you want to do a super chat, I'd love that as well. It just highlights to me that you do have a question, and then we'll get on it. All right. I'm kind of rusty at this. Let's see if I can get this to work. Did I get it to work? No. There we go. Here's a super chat. Limited reach. Thoughts on the new upcoming Civic Type R? Well, it's going to drive amazingly well. Gone is the hatchback. Gone is the, 3-door. We're now into a sedan. Yeah, can't wait to drive it. Can't really say anything more than that. I mean, it's going to be pretty amazing. Honda certainly knows how to make a high-performance car. The existing Type R is an amazing car. A bit too boy racer for my taste, with the huge spoiler on the back and all of the aero on it. But this one maybe looks a little bit more mature. So I think there's a greater possibility of people buying it. Okay, I'm going to go, but thank you for the first super chat as we come back. All right, let's get into our questions here. Am I doing this right? Why am I getting this? There we go. Here's from Mac. Great to have you back. I thought your reporting from VinFast in Vietnam was excellent. Do you think it's strange that the SUV line was down for lunch when you passed by? No. That was just a coincidence. There were about 4 groups or 5 groups of journalists that went through at different times. And when we were going through the body shop where they welded and put everything together, it was running, and final assembly was shut down for lunch. The reason why the factory was running very slowly is this was where they were just going to switch over from their gasoline cars that they made to fully electric. So it was a bit of a transition time. And by the way, they told us we were the very last group ever to get into the factory. After that, they weren't going to show it anymore. So there wasn't anything nefarious going on there. This is from Carter. Hi, Zach. Welcome back from Vietnam, and love the VinFast and Vietnam videos. I'm not sure what the 2 guys were doing sitting in the back. Any plans to make more travel videos in the future? Yeah, actually, Andrew and I are going to do that whenever we go somewhere interesting. Like, we were in Santa Barbara a week or so ago. We didn't make a video on that. It's Santa Barbara. It's nice, but it wasn't, if we go to Europe or something, or we go somewhere really fun and different, yeah, we'll do a travel video on that. And a lot of people made a comment about the 2 guys sitting in the back seat of the VF8 when we drove it from VinFast. And that was just a coincidence thing. So every single, these were pre-production models. Every single person that drove the car had to have somebody with them as a representative of VinFast to make sure the car was being handled properly. That was their protocol. And then the other guy that was sitting in the back with the video camera, we were interviewed, Andrew and I were interviewed by Vietnam Television, our thoughts on VinFast, our thoughts on the car, and they wanted some behind the scenes of us doing our video. So they said, do you mind if we put a videographer in the back seat recording you while you do your shtick? And we said, yeah, go ahead. So the one guy had to go with everybody in the car, and then the other person was there just because they wanted some shots of us. All right. We have another super chat. This one is from Danny. Do you come from a family of dealer owners or auto mechanics? Just wondering where your passion for vehicles came from. No, I don't have any connection with the auto industry other than when I was a kid. I was just totally enamored with cars. Where's my old Porsche? I've told the story before of my 911 that I bought when I was 11 years old. I was on, actually, speaking of the Queen, lying in state in Edinburgh right now. I was on Rose Street in Edinburgh, and I could, wow, there it is. There's my car. I can clearly remember at 11 years old walking down Rose Street in Edinburgh and seeing a toy store with this in the window, and I just had to have it. I mean, just look at that. That was a little bit of, foreshadowing. Ended up owning 2 911s. But yeah, I just always been into cars. When I was a kid, I used to, in the days when you didn't have to wear seatbelts, I would hang out the back window of the car looking at the cars at night and saying what year, what make and model it was just by the headlamps. That was kind of a hobby when I was a kid. Now here's Dave sending a super chat. Thank you very much, saying welcome back from summer. Summer's not over yet. I used to be a weather anchor, and summer isn't over. What's the date today? It's September 11th. That's a noteworthy date, but it's not for another 10 days. We still have summer for another 10 days. So there you go. I remember when I used to do the morning news, I always just say to people, summer's not over yet. I hate when Labor Day comes and everything summer's over. And it's hot here today in BC. It's a really warm day. Okay, let's get back to thank you guys for the super chats. Appreciate it. Here's Sinjob saying, when are you going to do the new 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe plug-in hybrid Summit Reserve? Well, this all comes down to availability of the car. If we can get the car, then yeah, we will definitely do it. But we have to wait until the car is actually available. Oh, here's Jerome. Howdy. He says, from Portugal, it's quite late here, but happy to watch the stream. Your first reaction from the Jeep Recon. It looks to me like it'll be unibody. So if you're not aware, Jeep just announced electrification plans for 2024. They're going to have like a Grand Wagoneer electrified, and also this new almost Wrangler looking 4xe that's going to be fully electric, but it is a unibody design. And you've got to remember that it's going to be sold to people that are going to need it just as a regular family vehicle. And as much fun as a Wrangler is, for some people it's just a little bit too rough and ready to drive on an everyday basis. I'm one of those people. I always love when I drive a Jeep, but I don't think I would want to live with it every single day. So yeah, it's going to be not a body on frame like the current Wrangler. Here's another super chat from KC. No question, just supporting the channel. I do appreciate that. Just if you're just tuning in now, I did mention a moment ago that taking almost 3 months off, I would have had to go back through all of my emails over the last 3 months to find pictures. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start fresh as of now. So if you want a picture featured on the live stream, send it in to zack@motormouth.ca, zack@motormouth.ca, or zack if you're in the US. And here's Jerome again. Another question, if I may. Were you at the GR Corolla press launch? Everything is under embargo, but will we want to pay attention to the Pocket Rocket? There might have been an American GR Corolla event. We were in Texas, and they did hot laps with people in the Corolla. We weren't allowed to drive it. I'm not aware of anything planned for the Canadian market yet, but yeah, at some point we'll get our hands on it. But no, we weren't invited to that. Here's John James. Hey, Zach, good to see you back. Hope all is well with you and Andrea and the family. Everything's great. Kids are back at school. I'm not sure they're loving that. Both of them worked all summer, had great summer jobs. So that's always good when the kids make some money on their own. Actually, my son, Jack, the oldest one, is doing the last day of his summer job today. Here's another one. Hey, Zach, nice to have the live chat back. Will you be test driving the Outlander 2023 PHEV? John, yes, we will. I was speaking with the PR person from Mitsubishi, and they are telling us they're, going to have the vehicle. Actually, they have had some vehicles land. These are pre-production models that they have at their head office. But yeah, they're going to put something together, and we're going to get a chance to drive it, hopefully sooner than later. We can't wait to get our hands on the PHEV because it is a very important vehicle. As we mentioned many times, it's going to be interesting to see the range. It's got a 20 kilowatt hour battery. The RAV4 Prime has an 18 kilowatt hour battery, and the RAV4 Prime is rated at 68 kilometers of EV range. So we'll see if the Outlander is better or worse. KPKP. Hey, Zach, GTI guy here. Had to cancel my purchase of the GTI. Interest rate through the roof, but thinking of an SUV now. What's your take on the upcoming Dodge Hornet Alfa Romeo Tonale, or Alfa Romeo Toenail, if you like? Yeah, so KPKP, if you are not aware, was the person that had a run-in with a local Volkswagen dealer here trying to renege on a deal, and I told him to get in touch with the Vehicle Sales Authority. And this is another question he's put in here, and he says, Vehicle Sales Authority had a talking to the Volkswagen dealer, apparently. So there you go. That's good to hear. So my thoughts on the Dodge Hornet Alfa Romeo Tonale. Listen, same thing again. I haven't driven these. I think that it's a market that's ripe for them to, and the early reports, everything I've read about the Tonale, say it's a fantastic product. Sure looks good. I'm a big fan of Alphas. Andrew and I were talking about this a lot lately. I'd love to have a Giulia. I think the Alfa Romeo Giulia is a great car to drive. Man, if you had to drive a four-door sedan every day, you would be really comfortable driving that. So not much I can add other than can't wait to drive it. Here's Sam B saying, hey, Zach, Love your Audi A3 review. Did you and Andrea notice a difference in terms of performance versus the previous model? Last A3 generation had more horsepower and torque versus the current model. Well, it's hard to remember from years ago because it has been years since I've driven an A3. All I can tell you is that we really enjoyed the new model. I thought it was great. So it's got the mild, I believe it's got the mild 48 volt hybrid system, if memory serves me correctly. But yeah, the A3 I thought was a fantastic product. So yeah, it could be slightly down on power, but it's as I always say in these videos, numbers are just numbers. They don't really mean anything unless you actually drive the car. A perfect example of that was the Acura MDX Type S. A lot of people said, oh, it's not going to be that great because it's got less power than, say, the GV80. But I got to tell you, I drove that and I thought it was fantastic. So the number is just a number. It's how they put the power down. It makes a big, big difference. We have another super chat. Thank you very much. This is from Dr. Strangelove. Why are there so many haters on the soft touch console in the VW products? We ordered an ID4 and we love the tech and the statement package. I think what you're talking about is the touch pad for the infotainment system. So soft touch console usually means like it's got soft padding on the side of it. I think what you're referring to are the touch keys for the infotainment system. Lack of physical buttons. There was a study done in Sweden where they tested people on older cars with physical buttons versus new infotainment systems that have touch screens. And every single person did simple tasks at speed driving on a closed course much quicker and easier using the old button system. And I'm totally in favor of having certain things in the screen, but I want certain functions out of the screen. I want my volume control out of the screen. I don't want to have to swipe it. Same thing with heat controls, changing your mirrors, all those sorts of things. So that's where the pushback is. Now, there have been software issues with Volkswagen and Audi and Porsche. You might have heard the delays, and they actually got rid of the top guy at Volkswagen and brought in the new CEO and president from Porsche to move these things along. So it's not that it doesn't work, and if you like it, that's great. It's just, in our opinion, there are better systems. Okay, we have 208 people on board and 65 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down. Hey, there's always a couple of you out there. But if you guys could smash the thumbs up, that would be great. I think it's going to take a little while for everybody to get used to these coming back. And unfortunately, next week, as I mentioned, we are on the road. Here's JD saying, have you heard anything about Chevrolet ending production of the Bolt? I have not. I've heard lots of speculation about that the Bolt could be going away. You got to remember that car companies allocate a certain number of production. I think with the revised price of the Bolt in the U.S. market, it's going to sell incredibly well if they can get production up to where they need it to be. They're moving towards their next EV, which is the Equinox. As I mentioned, the Equinox pricing has been announced. The 1LT starts at $30,000 in the United States and $35,000 in Canada. Now, in Canada, that car will qualify for the $5,000 federal rebate. That means you can buy a Chevy Equinox small SUV, a base model granted. We don't know what the trim packages are going to be, starting at $30,000. That's a hell of a deal. Now, if you're not aware, they passed the huge stimulus bill in the United States, and one of the problems with their EV rebate system in the US are not rebates, they're tax credits. Vehicles have to be made in North America. They included Canada in that. At first it was going to be US only, but they opened it up to be North American production because vehicle parts and assembly go back and forth across the border all the time. So that's good for Canadian assembly. But the vehicle has to be made in North America, and the battery has to be sourced from North America. So over 70% of all the cars that had not rebates, but tax credits in place in the US are no longer qualifying. So it's going to be interesting to see how quickly these car companies can develop battery capacity in North America. That's why we had Daimler and also Volkswagen in Canada signing trade agreements to produce new mineral supplies and get all those rare elements and make batteries in North America, because they need that to get those tax credits. But I haven't heard, it's a lot of this stuff about the Bolt is just rumor. Okay. Here's KC again with another super chat. Thoughts on the 2023 Crosstrek Outdoor Edition? I'm not sure. Is there anything new? I don't think so. They have the Outdoor Edition now. So I'm a huge fan. Listen, you can go back and watch our top 5 subcompact crossover vehicles. In my opinion, nothing can touch the Subaru Crosstrek when it comes to overall value. Especially when you get the larger 2.5 liter engine. It's just right size, it's good on gas, it's great value, they don't charge a fortune for it. It's just a really good, competent car. Comes with loads of standard safety features. It's got a very nice interior considering the price point. So I'm pro Subaru Crosstrek all day long. But thank you for the super chat. I'll have to look into that, see if there's any change for 2023, but I don't know. Here's one. Zach, regarding the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, I drive cross-country in hot weather and take rest stops to sleep. Could I run the AC on the big battery, and how long do you think it would run the AC? I don't know the question to that. It's one of those things, like you're saying, from what I understand, it is going to have a heat pump, and so that'll be able to heat and cool. Whether it's capable of just running on battery on its own, I would suspect it can, because it is a heat pump. It's not generating heat or cooling using the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine. So yeah, how long that can last, I'm not sure. But yeah, it has a heat pump, so we're going to have to wait and see like if it can run for those long periods of time. That's a good question for the product planning people there for sure. Amit says, wristwatch check. This is my mid-70s Tudor Snowflake, a Submariner Snowflake. By the way, I have to confess, I did go to the Tudor boutique today and looked at the new Tudor Pelagos 39. I think it might be in my future. That's all I'll say. Here's another super chat from TJ. I don't see a question here from TJ, but thank you very much for the super chat. Why isn't this thing working now? Anyway, I'm trying to get it to work. What I did was I have this old MacBook Pro that I'm using, that when I got my new MacBook Pro, I thought, well, I'll just keep this old MacBook Pro just for doing the live shows. So I don't have to change any settings. I don't have to try and figure out everything on the new one. I'll just plug this one in once a week, and then I can use it for the live show and then put it away for a week. The problem is getting back on this old MacBook Pro. It's old and slow. You get so used to using the new one that is so much better. I currently own a 2021 Veloster N. Any thoughts? That's a hell of a car. Pretty rare. You don't see many of them out there. It didn't sell well. Veloster didn't sell well. Veloster N certainly didn't sell well. But man, what a car. That is one hell of a hot hatch. And yeah, pretty cool thing to have. And the thing is, it didn't sell. Typically anything that doesn't sell in big numbers initially is more sought after in the long run. So, as you know, they have the Kona N and the Elantra N, and I'm not sure if did they officially announce the demise of the Veloster N? I think so. So, maybe not now, maybe not next year, but eventually that car will have a following, and there will be people that want it, and it will be collectible. It just have to wait and see to how long it's going to take, because a big thing with collectability sometimes is just time. Okay, let's go back up to the top here, see where we are. How many have we got on board tonight? We have 252 on board and 106 thumbs up. All right, so thank you very much for the thumbs up. The next one comes from Sean G. Zach is back. You've been busy. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted an M3. Expecting 23 M3 Competition Edition in Techno Violet next month. I know it's not a Porsche, but I'm super excited. Hey, the M3 is one fantastic car. The way that they calibrate the engine and the transmission and the suspension, the way it all works together, they know what the hell they're doing with those cars, for sure. Yeah, that's a very cool thing to have. An M3 is still an M3, and you're getting the competition version. So, yeah, good for you. You are going to love it. And listen, the world doesn't begin and end with Porsche. They just make great cars. But, BMW's high-performance cars certainly are fantastic as well. Now, the good news is BMW has announced that they are going to bring back the M5 station wagon. Why would they do that? They've never had an M5 station wagon ever in North America. Well, I'm not sure if you noticed, over at Audi, they brought in the RS6 Avant a year and a half, 2 years ago. Maybe not 2 years ago, but at least a year ago. And that thing blew up. You can't get one. You got to put your name on a waiting list. They charge the moon for the things. They're making a lot of money selling them. And BMW is like, oh, so there is still life in the station wagon market for high performance station wagon. So BMW is apparently going to be bringing the M5 wagon back to North America. And we were on a flight recently, and the guy sitting behind me recognized Andrea and I, was telling us he's got an RS6 Avant. And I said, hey, if you ever just want to drop it at my house for the weekend, I'd be glad to drive it. Thoughts on the EV, the Blazer EV, and the Equinox EV? That's the next question. Why isn't this popping up? Sorry, guys. Well, I think if you have been listening to these live shows regularly over the last, months and years, I have been talking about the one to watch, in my opinion, in the electric car space is General Motors, to see what they can do, because they have scale. Volkswagen has scale. They've had some stumbles getting out of the gates with some of their products technically, especially software. The Audi Q4 e-tron was delayed. The cars are at port for months waiting on software updates. So they'll work through all those things. They certainly have sold a lot of EVs in Europe. Then you have Toyota bringing an EV to market, the BZ or the BZ4X. Recall all of them, bought them all back because of a wheel hub issue. By the way, I was told by Toyota, not one wheel ever fell off. It was just a distortion of the wheel hub. They recalled and bought all the vehicles back. So getting going for these companies, some of them, it's a real process to learn to make electric cars at scale. General Motors went through the recall of all of the Chevy Bolts, had to put new battery packs in all of them. So these are very hard and expensive lessons to learn by these car manufacturers. Ford has had a pretty good track record with the Mustang Mach-E. It's done well. F-150 Lightning are starting to be delivered now. There's one down the street from me. We walked by it and looked at it last night. So, but for me, General Motors, what I love about their plan is they want EVs for everyone. EVs for everybody, not just millionaires. And I've been going on about this for years. Electric cars are expensive. Whoever can crack the mass appeal electric car game, so if you've got a Chevy Equinox and a Chevy Blazer, that's going to be $30,000 to $35,000. Now, granted, that's the base model. But man, you are in the sweet spot to sell a lot of them. We'll have to wait and see if they can actually do it. That's the hard part. Power Guy Mark says, what do you consider the best value in a hybrid vehicle? Thank you. In my opinion, I think that the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid is the best car on the road. And why do I say that? Because, first of all, it's a compact crossover. That's what everybody wants. Whether it's, a CR-V, Ford Escape, RAV4 size, that's the size of vehicle people want. That's back to my whole Chevy Equinox story. That's the same class. So you've got a RAV4. number one. That's the size of vehicle people want. Then number two, it's a hybrid vehicle that has incredible fuel economy. Number three, it starts in the Canadian market. I'll give you Canadian dollars because this is where I live. At $33,000, that's a hell of a deal. It's a Toyota and it has incredible resale value. Now, granted, there have been issues around cable gate and certain vehicles in Quebec that have had cables corroding, but I would still buy a RAV4 hybrid hands down any day of the week because it's just the perfect combination of packaging, efficiency, reliability, and size. And that is just hard to beat, in my opinion, the RAV4 hybrid. Okay, some more super chats here. Here's Scott Newell. Sent in a super chat. Enjoyed all the recent videos, especially the 911. The 911 was a lot of fun. So we had the Targa 4 GTS recently. If you missed that video, it's on the channel. All right, let me see if there's any other ones here. All right, thank you for that, Scott, who has a beautiful Mustang GT. All right, back up to the top here. So how many do we have on now? 290 on board now and 131 thumbs up. So you guys can smash the thumbs up. That would be great. So since you were able to test drive the VinFast VF8, would you recommend to get the car right away or wait? Listen, we had like what you saw in the video of us driving the car was really all the time we had to drive the car. So we gave our initial impressions of, you know, the design, the interior, and initial impressions of how it drove. But to actually give a definitive review, we're waiting for the cars to arrive here. If you're not aware, VinFast just delivered the very first VF8s in Vietnam this past week. So production is up and running. Cars are being delivered. They're being delivered in Vietnam, and then they will be here before the end of the year. So once we get our hands on one for a regular week-long test drive, then we'll be able to answer your question a little bit more definitively. Right now, okay, what does it have? What are the headwinds? New car brand, never heard of a VinFast. From Vietnam, never bought a Vietnamese car before. They have their subscription model. That's kind of weird. And by the way, it's a brand new car with all of those things. Is it going to be reliable? If it's not reliable and if it's not well done and the after service isn't good, this could end up being a very expensive exercise for VinFast, just trying to crack the North American market. They not only have to bring in vehicles that are well done, they've got to be reliable, they've got to be priced right, and they better not break down all the time. Personally, yeah, I thought the cars were fine. I wouldn't take a flyer on a first year of anything. That's just the way I roll. Here's Boston Ma. Hi, Zach. Good to see you back and spotted your Cayenne in North Vancouver. Yeah, Boston sent me a picture on Instagram and said, oh, I saw a car just like yours in North Van. I said, that actually is my car in North Van. It was over there getting some stuff done, and there you go. He's got a good eye. Here's Daniel saying, if you could pair one watch each with a RAV4 F-150 and GT3, what would your pick? Welcome back. Wow, that is okay. All right, so the RAV4, I'm going to go with this watch. This has got to go in and get the bracelet fixed. But I just happen to have it right here. So that's a Seiko SKX 007. The world famous Seiko. That's the RAV4 for sure, because it's also Japanese. F-150. F-150. I would probably say Shinola. Shinola, is that the one from Detroit? Now they're starting to make automatic watches now. At first they were only quartz watches, but they have some interesting designs. And for the GT3, even though it's a German brand, I could say, you know, IWC, but I won't say IWC. I've got to go Swiss. Lang and Shona, I think, is what I would say for GT3. Here's Harpreet saying, good to see you, Zach. How was your time off? Well, we didn't get any time off. We just didn't do the live show. I went to DR Congo this summer, and there are a lot of Hyundai Palisade and Land Cruiser Prado on the road. Do you think Toyota could bring this model to North America? So you're in the Congo, and you saw Land Cruiser, Prado. No, it's no, like there's, the Land Cruiser I think is finished now for North America. So we have the Lexus LX. A lot of those vehicles that are made for other markets, say in Africa or around Asia, we just don't get them. You got to remember that they sell 10 million cars around the world. So there's not going to be all the same cars in every jurisdiction. And also you have to think about crash worthiness and emissions. And it's very different depending on what part of the world you're in. I would love to have seen a new Land Cruiser come. I think the closest thing we're going to get to that will be a new 4Runner when it eventually comes. Boston Moth, thoughts on the new Lexus RX 500? My prediction is it's going to be $75,000 to $85,000. Thoughts? So yeah, that was the video that we just put out on Friday was when it dropped. And I asked that when we did the review of the hybrid, saying, what do you guys think the price is going to be? And I was pressing the head of Lexus here in Canada, and I said, is it going to be $80,000? Is it going to be over? Is it going to be under? Listen, it's a high-performance Lexus, and when you look at the NX, they put the price of the NX up quite a bit. So I'm hoping they're not going to go crazy on it, but I would say that my guess is $80,000. That's what I think the 500 is going to be. Dion, hello from Vegas. Yeah, we think it's hot here, but man, it's got to be hot there. They had that heat wave. I wonder if you got any rain. Did you get any rain? What are the big tropical storm K is sitting there? Here's Karen 329 from Philly. Hello from Philly. Well, nice to have you here. Hi, Zach. Do you have any thoughts on the future CX-90? What are the current predictions on confirmed vehicle features for this car? I don't have anything specific on the features for the car. The vehicle is supposed to be coming this fall. So really in the next few months, we're going to be able to get our hands on it, and that will be fantastic. So the CX-9 is going away. Unlike the CX-5, where they brought in the CX-50, they're keeping the CX-5 at the same time. What we're hearing is the CX-9 is not going to stay. The CX-90 will be staying. But when it comes down to packages, equipment, and all that kind of stuff, we're going to have to wait until we get closer to it. But it is on the way, and it is going to be coming in the next few months. Here's JD saying, glad to have you back on the live chat. Really enjoyed your Vietnam segment. A lot of people really like that. That's good. Rigid Liquid 945 says, I need an all-wheel drive SUV that can tow 5,000 pounds. Considering the Kia Sorento V6 or the Nissan Pathfinder V6 to keep the price down, which do you think is better? The Sorento V6, so that's the last of the old one. Or the Pathfinder. I wouldn't choose the Pathfinder of those two. That previous generation Pathfinder has a continuously variable transmission, and I know it's rated for 6,000 pounds when you say you need to tow 5, but I wouldn't be really stressing the continuously variable transmission in that product. They got rid of it. They've gone to a 9-speed automatic transmission. So obviously you're looking at older vehicles to try and save some money. In the 5,000 pound range, just trying to remember, they're all kind of rated for that. You know, the one that has much better towing capacity and is a great handling vehicle and is really quite reliable and has an amazing reliability score. You're not going to believe it, but if you're looking for a 3-row SUV that can tow and tow the most in its class, it's the Dodge Durango. And if you don't need the 3rd row, you could get a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now the good news is the models haven't changed that much in many years. So if you're looking at a specific price point, say I can only afford $30,000 for a used one, or 40 or 50 or whatever it is, you're going to be able to find a bunch of them in that price range because they really have not changed them that much. For 2021, they did do an upgrade for the interior of the Durango, but mostly cosmetics and the radio. The older ones are really quite good. And one of my favorite non-luxury 3-row SUV, the best handling vehicle is the Durango, and great towing capacity. So not a fan of that Pathfinder. Okay, down we go to some more super chats. I think we have some more here. TJ, Zach, to own over, say, 10 years, new NX 350 non-hybrid, NX 350 non-hybrid or Q3. Hey, listen, if you want to buy a vehicle and drive it for 10 years and not worry about it, get the Lexus. You know, I do love the Q3, but I mean, if it's all about longevity and not worrying about it, that's why Lexus and Toyota is so popular, and how they get away with keeping their cars, you know, in many ways a step behind others when it comes to new technology, because they play it safe, and playing it safe is what gets their reliability so high. So if you're about reliability and keeping a vehicle for 10 years with no headaches, get the Lexus. It's a great product too. I would, though, if I was buying an NX, I would get the 350 hybrid. It's just better. It's just a better vehicle than the regular gas one. Try it out. Okay. Up to the top we go. We have another one. Here's Daniel from Virginia. Nice to have you on board. Any thoughts on the Toyota Grand Highlander will be released? So I believe it's coming for the 2023 model year. So that's the higher trim of the Highlander. Highlander is going to get the 2.4 liter turbo engine that we are getting in the Lexus. That's going to be in there. So yeah, I don't know the release date. It's going to be for 2023. Do you have an opinion on the CRV 2023? We're waiting for the vehicle to arrive. Apparently 2 of them are being shipped right now to the West Coast. I've been emailing the PR person locally and in Toronto. When is the CRV coming? When is the CRV coming? They keep saying, Zach, don't worry, it's coming. It is coming. But we sit and wait. Interesting thing, they had a ride and drive event in the US, and they had a local one in Toronto. And they had 1 or 2 vehicles there. The embargo for that to lift was the 19th of September. So a week tomorrow. Now they've pushed it back another week. It was supposed to be a week ago. Now they've pushed it back to September 19th because for whatever reason, I suspect it's coming down to pricing of the car and also the official EPA numbers for the hybrid, but I don't know. Anyway, they've pushed back the release of all of the reviews until a week tomorrow. I'm in Windsor, Ontario, ordered a 2022 RAV4 hybrid in July. Probably won't get the vehicle till next summer. More than likely it'll be 2023. Any updates you can share? You know what, Jim? You're choosing a great car. I just went through all the reasons why I think the RAV4 hybrid is the best car on the road for the price. I'm not sure which trim you got. Even the base model at 33 grand is a hell of a car. The XLE at 36, that's the one I would choose. But listen, it's a good product. Sit and wait. You'll get it. The good news is you're going to get a 2023. It's going to have the new infotainment system. So you're not going to notice any difference when you look at it, cosmetically on the inside of the car, looks the same. But the operating system of the head unit is improved, and it adds a wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, which is a big deal. Because if you're going to buy a car like a RAV4 and keep it for many years, it's nice to just get in the car and all of that information's on the screen without having to plug your phone in every time you get in the car. So the good news is, you've got your order in. The good news is it will come. And the good news is you're going to have a RAV4 hybrid. So I know it's not any consolation to you to say, sit at home and wait. But that's all you can do is sit at home and wait. You're getting a great car. It's just going to take a while. I can't believe that you would order a car in July and it's going to take a year to come. I just don't believe that. Hopefully it's not that bad. Oh, so here's Casey asking about the Veloster again. I kind of touched on it. He's saying, I have a 2021 Veloster and dual clutch. Hyundai's not making them in her, so that is official then. And is it a car to hang on to? Like I said, eventually the car will be collectible. Not sure if it's going to be collectible now, next year, 3 years from now. Now, I'm not sure how long you want to hold on to a car for it to become collectible, but I think that it will be, because it just was made for a short period of time. There's very few on the road. And there'll be someone that wants it, for sure. This is James tripping with Dumas. What do you think of the divergence? One hand you have EVs. The other hand you have the biggest gas guzzlers ever. The 392 Jeep Wrangler. Well, it's amazing to see how many of these car brands are introducing the highest performance gasoline models. I have a theory on this. I talk about it with Audi bringing all the RS models. So we talked about the RS6 Avant. We never got an RS6 Avant ever. And then they bring it out in the last couple of years. Then we have RS Q8. So we have the Q8 SUV. And then they give us the RS version. We've never had a high performance SUV from Audi like that. And then you look at BMW's bringing the M5 Wagon. I think, this is what I think, they're going to milk the high-performance gasoline market as much as they can for as long as they can until they're not able to sell these cars anymore. Because car companies need money to put into producing the electric vehicles that they're all being mandated to make. So they're thinking to themselves, all right, we got to spend billions and billions of dollars on these EV platforms and factories and batteries and supply chains and all of that. We'll sell people what they want. You want a high-performance Jeep with a crazy V8 engine in it? We'll sell you one of those. I think that's what's happening. I think these car companies are doing that just to get as much money as they can. Okay, James has got another one down here, but it's a super chat. So hey, if you ring the bell, you gotta show it. Here's James's with his super chat. Hey Zach, when you do those reviews of the Cherry local used cars, it's always a great video. Just a thought. When you do, so I think what you're talking about are the cars I would get from Core Cars, especially the vintage 911s and stuff. I actually recorded one last video with Core's backdated 911. It's going to come out probably later this week. It just got too busy. Just too many things to do on the channel, too much production, too much editing, too much shooting, too much hosting the videos. It's a lot of work. You know, putting out 3 videos a week is a lot of work to shoot them, to edit them. Andrea does the research, as you know, and then to put it all together. And there's just the two of us. So I appreciate it. And it was fun to do for a while. But now that traveling started up again and we're going on certain car launches, just not any time to run out and do a video on the old cars, as much as I love them. Because you know what? We always get new cars to drive, which is great. But the old cars, those ones have real soul. All right. Benneth Wang. Hey Zach, welcome back. Glad to see the live show again. I'm seeing into a new subcompact SUV. Any idea if the Subaru Crosstrek is going to be updated anytime soon? Yeah, somebody else asked that about. I don't know. I'm kind of on my back foot on this one. I haven't heard anything about Crosstrek getting an update, but I can find out for you, and we'll get back to it the next time we chat here. But yeah, I haven't. I guess if you think about the vehicle and when it came out, so they did a facelift on it 2 years ago when they introduced the outdoor version with the 2.5 liter engine. So it could be due for another update. Hey Zach, my wife, you got more than one wife? My wife wants to trade in a 2021 Kia Seltos S for a 2023 Volkswagen Taos SEL. Is Taos VW a good car? Good timing on this one because we are picking up a Seltos this week. And I think the Seltos video will go out on Saturday. yeah, we're going to turn that one around pretty quickly. So maybe just sit around and wait. You can watch our Taos video and you can watch the Seltos video. The one thing I'll say just basically is these two vehicles are a couple of the biggest in this subcompact class. They offer a lot of space and a lot of features. Some things you can get in these two cars you can't get in a lot of other subcompact vehicles. Things like ventilated front seats, both of these cars offer it. Big panel roof, you can get that. Heated rear seats, you can get that. Now the Seltos is a much better value story. They have absolutely nailed the price of that car. In comparison, the Volkswagen is more expensive, but not all trims, but the higher end trims get more expensive. But you only get the turbo in the Seltos really in the top trim. The Taos comes standard with the turbo on every model. It gets a dual clutch, where the non-turbo versions of the Seltos come with a continuously variable transmission. If I was going to buy one based on handling and fun factor and just maybe a better driving experience, it would be Volkswagen. And it's also the biggest of the two. So I'm agreeing with her in that I think that the Volkswagen is a great package. Lots of great features if you can afford the higher end trims. Really good size. You don't need to go to a Tiguan. You could live with that, no problem. Very fun to use 4-cylinder turbo that's actually good on gas if you don't kick it all the time. So I'm a big fan of that product. Reliability, probably I would give the tip of the hat to Kia on that one, but Volkswagen has put together a good package. But not when you compare price. The Seltos, hands down, is a much better deal. Thoughts on Dodge getting rid of the Challenger Charger for the next model year? Well, they're back to what I was saying a moment ago. They're getting set for their electrified version of a retro rod, so that's coming. HC says, hey Zach, Mazda 3 hatch GT front-wheel drive or Civic hatch sport touring, which gets your money? It's funny that you mention this because we just finished recording, not the hatchback, but we just finished recording the Mazda 3 sedan GT, but not the turbo model, the 2.5 liter. And you'll see the video when it comes out. I picked the car up, but Andrea hadn't seen the car. We just went out to shoot some driving, the car driving by the camera. So I've got Andrea. This is how it works. Andrea's in the car on Bluetooth, and I've got earbuds in, and I can talk to her, and I can also hear her reaction. And so she's driving by, and she goes, "Oh man, I just love this turbo engine." And I said, "That's not the turbo. That's the 2.5 liter." She couldn't believe it. It was so good. So the 2.5 liter GT that you're referring to, that's sold in the front wheel drive hatch or sedan version of the Mazda 3, is a great engine, and you don't need to go all the way up to the turbo because we both thought it was just such a great vehicle. What it comes down to between the Civic, and we mentioned this in the video, is the Civic's just bigger. It's a much bigger car. It's got a much bigger back seat, especially in the hatch. You've got way more cargo space. Now, if that's a priority for you, if you're somebody that just wants to have a bigger vehicle, you put kids in the back seat, you throw stuff in the back, well, the Civic's going to be the one you want just based on space. However, if you're just driving it on your own and you're not using the back seat that much and you're fine with the cargo space in the hatchback of the Mazda 3, it's a hell of a good product. Plus, they've jacked the price up, man, of the Civic. The price is crazy. So, yeah, they're both excellent. And those are two very good products. And they go in the fun to drive category, not just the good A to B transportation. If it was my money, I would probably, as much as I like the 6-speed automatic over the CVT, that's a big one too. That's in favor of the Mazda. But I like the look of the new Civic. And for me, styling is a big deal. So you have to really do a gut check on what's important to you. Is the Subaru 2.4T reliable? It depends which vehicle you're talking about, because it has been in some, but in the Ascent, there have been, stories of it not being that reliable. So I think in the Outback it has been, but they don't sell that many of them. Ascent only is sold with that engine. So do some research on Ascent reliability and you'll get your answer. Rick Lund is asking, which 2023 compact SUV hybrid would you recommend? RAV4 Sportage or Sportage, Tucson CRV, or Escape? Now, we haven't driven the CRV yet, so we mentioned it's on the way, and the one we're getting is the gas. And then they're apparently going to have some kind of ability to drive the hybrid later in the fall. So what I would say is RAV4 hybrid, hands down, based on value, is the clear winner because it's $33,000. Sportage at $36,000 is a hell of a product. I think that what that offers over the Toyota is a much, much more refined interior, much nicer cabin, more creature comforts, all of that kind of stuff. So those two would be my top choices. The Escape is a really nice vehicle to drive. It actually drives really well on the road. It's got good feedback to the driver. It's a nice sized vehicle. However, the reliability isn't going to be as strong. And then we have the Tucson, which is the same as the Sportage, except they've put the price up. In Canada, I think it's $42,000, where the Kia starts at $36,000. So there's a big price difference there. So these are all good choices. I would say if you're looking for the base model, the RAV4 at $33,000 is hard to beat. The Sportage at $36,000 is pretty nice. But for the same money, you can get the XLE RAV4. I would say it's between those two. Meet, any watch updates? Well, I did confess I was at the Tudor boutique today. I didn't buy, they didn't have the watch for sale. I just went to try it on. And I liked it. So that could be in the future. Mr. Cheez-Its, I'm looking at both the Forester and the CRV. Which one would you buy? Well, we've got to get the CRV. So back to that again. Waiting for it to show up. How did you get hold of the 911R to review? I think you're talking about the picture in the background. Is that the car you're talking about? That's a GT3. It wasn't a 911R, it's a GT3. But we had a day at the track in Moseport driving those. That was cool. That was cool. Or are you talking about this one? This isn't a 9. That's not an R. I think you're talking about the one that was in the background. How is the Lexus IS 300 all-wheel drive worth the money? Listen, this is a car you just buy and you don't worry. You just enjoy it. Now, the IS has been updated, but in my opinion was a kind of a lazy update. What they worked on, which I appreciated, the suspension is really good. The suspension is improved, the handling is better. What they didn't work on is the interior is a warmed over version of what they've done in the past. And it's not a big car. It's still got a small back seat compared to many competitors. But you know what? If you just wanted to buy a car and drive it and just do regular maintenance on it and not worry about it, and for it to just deliver the mail every day, a Lexus IS would be pretty hard to beat. They're kind of legendary for their reliability, so that's why you buy that car. Please do a review of the Bmw X1. Well, that's another PR person I've been bugging, saying, when are we going to get a chance to drive the X1? What they said was cars are going to be delivered from Germany, and we will have them in the fleet here locally by the end of the year. Do you think the 2022 Civic Type R will be limited quantity? I'd love to get one, but the reports about the limited quantity have me concerned. That's a question for the dealer. I would find out from them. I don't know. Stephen Wong is saying, hey, Zach, is there a Honda dealer you recommend in the Vancouver area to purchase a new Honda Civic from? Glad you are back. Well, Stephen, you can go and see my buddy Tim at Vancouver Honda. He is, that's basically Marine Drive and Canby area, which is where we bought our Honda Civic. And Tim I've known for several years. He's one of the sales guys there. And tell them Zach sent you and he'll treat you right. He's very good salesperson, very trustworthy. He knows his cars and I have no problem recommending them. We bought our car from them and was very satisfied. So Tim at Vancouver Honda, okay? Here's the follow-up on the Tudor. Okay, so what I did was what did you think about the 39 millimeter Tudor Pelagos? So I have two of these. This is a vintage Tudor Submariner. So I've watched all kinds of video reviews on the new Pelagos. And I'm so frustrated with the people that do watch reviews because not one of them mentioned the reason why the Pelagos is 39 millimeters now is because of these watches. The original Tudor Submariners, so you have the Rolex Submariner and you have the Tudor Submariner. The Tudor Submariners were 1 millimeter smaller at 39 millimeters. So the Pelagos is their diving watch, the heir apparent to this, at 39 millimeters. And I had them both at the store today, holding them up. It's incredibly close to this, even though this watch is from 1975. Very, very close. It's a modern take on this, and it's absolutely fantastic. What's interesting, though, is it's made of titanium, which you would think would be a lot lighter than this steel one, but these old steel bracelets are really quite thin. They're kind of flimsy in actual fact compared to new ones, but really comfortable. That's what makes them so comfortable. So that's kind of what that new Pelagos is basically a modern version of this. And yeah, there will be one in my future. All right, I think we have another super chat. We'll do that before we go. Make sure I didn't miss any. And thanks to everybody for your questions. Oh, limited reach. Did I miss that one? The new CR-V is missing features compared to the competition. I'm a huge fan of Honda, but they need to be better managed run. Curious to see the pricing. Everybody wants to know the pricing. If you look at the price of the HR-V, the Civic, they've jacked the prices way up. I guarantee you the CR-V, I don't have the info, but I think they're going to be eye-wateringly expensive. And I'm not sure what Honda's up to, especially in the Canadian market. They're kind of pricing them into obscurity, especially when you've got all these hot Korean cars that are on the dealers' lots, good value, great design, all those sorts of things. Like Honda seems to be kind of resting on its laurels way too much, in my opinion. I agree with you. One final super chat, DJ39. What's the best SUV EV right now? I think that the best value EV SUV, if you're just talking straight value, is the Volkswagen ID4. They just announced a cheaper ID4 with a smaller battery for next year. So that is kind of the sweet spot in size, right? The nice thing about the ID4 is it's very similar to their conventional SUVs. Like if you, the Tiguan and the ID4, packaging wise, they're really quite good. So I think that's the best value. It's going to be interesting to see with the new, as I mentioned, Chevy Equinox and Blazer, if they're going to be able to produce those cars. Now, they've given us the base price at $30,000 and $35,000. What if you want to get something in it? What's it going to cost? That's the real rub. Is it going to go from $35,000 to $45,000 to move up one package? I hope not, but we'll have to wait and see. But right now, I think the best overall package in terms of value and space and all of that is the ID4. That's just my thought. Okay, we are all done. I don't get to every single question, obviously. Thanks to everybody for the super chats. If you want to get a picture in for the upcoming show, Zach at motormouth.ca. That's ZACK at motormouth.ca. We are on the road. We going off on a trip. Can't say what it is, but you'll see the videos soon. We're taking off this coming Sunday, so we won't be doing the live show next week. We will be back the week after that. So thanks to everybody that tuned in. It's been a nice summer break from doing the live shows. It's good to be back, and we'll catch up with you guys in the next one. Bye now.